Today is December 24th, 2023. It's Christmas Eve, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers in today's video, as they are currently the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. They are one game behind the Orlando Magic, who are the 4th seed. And there has been plenty of rumblings on social media about the Cleveland Cavaliers needing to break up this team with Donovan Mitchell after the trade was made last year. So let's talk about it. As we speak today, Evan Mobley and Darius Garland last week, they both went out for the next 4 and 6 weeks due to surgeries. Evan Mobley is going to have left knee surgery, while Darius Garland has a fractured jawline. Evan Mobley will miss the next 6 weeks, and Garland will miss the next 4. And this team is going to ask a lot out of Donovan Mitchell for the next couple weeks to keep this team afloat, as they are going to be a team that is going to make a playoff run later on this season. And my question for you is it time to panic for the Cleveland Cavaliers? Me personally, I don't think so. This team does need to make some changes, though, to change their ceiling of this roster. But the first thing we have to do before we talk about any moves on the Cleveland Cavaliers is we have to look at their star player and his timeline, his timetable. And their star player is DMitch, Spida. Next 3 years on his contract, he has signed for $104 million, but he has 2 years guaranteed, and it will come out to $67 million. And this year that is currently being played is a part of one of those 2 seasons. So next year he will essentially be on an expiring contract. And June 2024 is going to be the start of a new season where DMitch will have a 1 year guaranteed and a 1 year player option for $71 million in total. The player option will be worth $37 million, and he's going to decline that in every single scenario of the world. $37 million for a player of Donovan Mitchell's caliber just isn't where the market is set for him. That is not a borderline superstar money. Donovan Mitchell, he's going to go out and demand him a new $60 million deal, 5 years, 60, whatever that is. Like, we have Jason Tatum signing for $300 million. Donovan Mitchell, he's going to at least want, come on, I don't know, 240, something like that, bare minimum. He's probably going to get more than 240, but we're just talking bare minimum. So next year he's going to technically be on his last year of his deal. So look at it like this. The Cleveland Cavaliers will have 3 chances in the playoffs to build around Donovan Mitchell. And if they keep him happy, they will have to put him in a situation where Cleveland is the best place for him to win career-wise as a player. If not, he could be a part of the trade market as soon as this summer. If he was to voice complaints after a playoff series on the podium, like, hey, these guys just ain't it. We need to make some moves. I don't want to be here. But Donovan Mitchell, he also doesn't spite me as the guy to do that. Understand when in Utah, the only time he ever voiced complaints for real, like he voiced a little bit of complaints, but it was nothing like, hey, get me out of here. I don't think he'd do that in Cleveland either. So Donovan Mitchell, to me, he will not be getting traded at this year's trade deadline. That talk is dead. It's just people looking for clicks. It's the quickest he could ask for a trade is, like I said, this summer. If they were to underperform once again, get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, make no progression as a team, no moves either, then I could see him being upset. But one thing I know for sure is the first move on the Spida timeline isn't going to be, hey, let's move Spida. That just doesn't make sense. And it's like I said, he's on the small market team and he's a big market player. People are going to make stories around him and they just not going to want him here because we want him on Heat Nation. Stand up. We want him on the Heat Nation. We want him on the New York Knicks. We want him on the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, why would a star player be on any other team in the NBA, right? If we really want to talk about real trades in Cleveland, let's do it. And now that we know the Donovan Mitchell contract and how I think about it and how probably the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers thinks about it too, let's talk about the moves the Cleveland Cavaliers have done with Donovan Mitchell on their team so far. They've traded for LaVert. They signed Max Strus. They signed Niang. They signed Jerome. They signed Tristian Thompson. They drafted Emoni and they waived KLove. You really think those are going to be the only? I wonder, do people think those are going to be the only moves this team goes out and makes before they trade Donovan Mitchell? Like, you think that after they just traded their whole future, they're not even going to at least try to move an actual core piece if the thing isn't working out? That doesn't make sense. And like I said, once again, for the third time, I'm going to start repeating myself. People just looking for clicks. Before we talk about any trades, though, let's talk about last season and how the Cleveland Cavaliers are currently at this situation where they stand at now. Last season, they went 51-31 as the fourth seed in the Eastern Conference. Dono made an All-NBA team. Evan Mobley finished top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year. And just a great regular season for them Cavs as a whole. Darius Garland, he had an all right season. He was a borderline all-star. And if you have that, you could contend for championships. They have solid building pieces, but they were a young team, and the bright lights were too much to handle in Madison Square Garden. They were a roster with very little to no playoff experience outside of DMitch, and they got beat up in the post, which was very disappointing with their Twin Towers duo that they have, to get beat up in the paint as much as they did. But that's what happened, and they also, because of that two big man lineup, they have very little to no shooting outside of DMitch and Garland. And as we see in free agency this year, they prioritized that with Max Strus and Georges Niang. Max Strus got him a hefty contract, which so far it's not even been looking that bad. Max Strus has been on Cleveland performing. He's been playing defense. He's been shooting lights out, and he's been doing everything that they want out of him. And he's a veteran in that locker room who has playoff experience, something that they were missing last year. Same goes for Georges Niang, to a lesser degree on every aspect of Max Strus, because he has the playoff experience too, not as big of moments, and he's a shooter too, but not as good. But he's a big man he's a big wing that can shoot, and he starts knocking down his shots. That would be a great thing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The move that it seems like the Cleveland Cavaliers are interested in making, believe it or not, is trading their fourth most valuable player, who's a part of their core, but his contract is going to be difficult to retain. He doesn't fit that well alongside another defensive center who also doesn't have much to offer on the offensive side of the ball as a floor spacer. Jarrett Allen. I don't know why. I do know why, but Jarrett Allen, he seems like the guy who the Cleveland Cavaliers are interested in moving before they make any, or that is a big change. It seems like the Cleveland Cavaliers are interested in moving Evan Mobley to their full-time center, which he would benefit from that. Great rebounder, such a versatile defender, one of the best defenders in the league, amazing rim protector. He has the switchability of like a Bam Adebayo. This man, Evan Mobley, he's amazing, and him at center, it may fully unleash him as an NBA player. And that starting lineup, if you were to move Evan Mobley from power forward to center, you would just assume they would get better shooting in that lineup, because outside of Garland, DMitch, and Strus, and you got to remember, Garland's been even missing games this year. The Cleveland Cavaliers have made 361 threes this season. But if you remove those three players I named, it goes down to 175 threes. These three players account for more than half of the three-pointers made on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's not just a winning formula. That's just not a way you could succeed in the NBA. And Jarrett Allen trade package, what I would look for are 6'7" and up wings who are able to space the court and play defense, because I think that's all the Cavaliers really need. They don't really need too much more playmaking. Playmaking, it doesn't hurt if they get it from someone, but the priorities here is going to be spacing and defense by 6'7" and up wings. And the Pelicans have a couple guys who really excite me in Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. I'll hit up the Pelicans. We got Jarrett Allen. What's up with those two players? The trade I made is a 3-teamer where, as you see on the screen, it's Josh Giddey, Jarrett Allen, Isaac Okoro to the New Orleans Pelicans, Jonas Valanciunas, and Caris LeVert to the OKC Thunder. And we coming home with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Davis Bertans. First thing first, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, you have a starting lineup of Garland, DMitch, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Evan Mobley. That defensive versatility is amazing. They have wings who could play defense, and in this Eastern Conference, they're gonna have to have players who could guard the likes of Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, those type of players, and you're just not gonna get that where the roster currently stands. What are you gonna do? Put Max Strus to guard those guys? I mean, off the bench, he's not a terrible option, but you just want to match the starting lineups of those teams. And Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, those are very versatile defenders who could stand up against those matchups. The New Orleans Pelicans, they seem like they're very interested in Jarrett Allen, so they get their guy that they're interested in. They get Isaac Okoro and Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, who's a fine NBA player. Yeah, Josh Giddey. Either way. The Thunder, they get a starting lineup of SGA, Lou Dort, Jalen McDaniels, Chet Holmgren, and Jonas Valanciunas. It makes the spacing of that team better because Josh Giddey, there's points where teams just totally neglect him on the offensive side of the ball. And Jonas, he's a fine shooter. Like he can shoot. Jonas, as a big man, he's an amazing shooter. He brings a lot of rebounding to that team, and Chet will just be able to play like a Jaren Jackson role, and he's also not going to be an absolute liability at center. So Chet as a blind side defender, weak side defender is going to be amazing for the OKC Thunder. And they're going to have a big man rotation of Chet and Jonas. That'll be a nice thing for the OKC Thunder as they get ready for a playoff run. The next trade is going to be with the Washington Wizards. Trade Jarrett Allen, and you get Corey Kispert, Deni Avdija, and Danilo Gallinari. I mean, I love this trade too because this will give the Cavaliers a starting lineup of Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Corey Kispert, Deni Avdija, and Evan Mobley. Similar to the Pelicans deal, you get wings who could defend and shoot. Deni Avdija and Corey Kispert, I know they are players on the Washington Wizards, so they're more low key than they should be. But those two guys are great defenders who can space out the floor, just like Herb Jones and the Trey Murphy package. They make this such a versatile lineup defensively. You have Max Strus off the bench. You keep Isaac Okoro off the bench. Karis LeVert off the bench. You may look Tristan Thompson off the bench, who's been playing nice. That would make this team that fit Danilo Gallinari off the bench. They would have so much shooting on this lineup and a very versatile defense. Maybe you look for another backup center, but I feel like Tristan Thompson has been pretty fine for this team. Maybe you get a guy in the buyout market. I don't know. Maybe you get a center for cheap. Maybe you ask for that center, Mike Muscala, back in the package. But in the trade where they get Danilo, Kispert, and Avdija, man, for Jarrett Allen, I feel like both of these teams will love that deal because the Wizards get an upgrade at center, and Cavaliers, they get exactly what they need in 3 ND wings. And the last deal I'm looking at is, I don't really know how I feel about this one. Out of the 3 trades, this is my least favorite one. It'd be Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert for Doug McDermott, Keldon Johnson, and Jeremy Sohan. Maybe you revise the trade and you take out Karis LeVert and Doug McDermott, and it's just Jarrett Allen for Jeremy Sohan and Keldon Johnson. And I still don't really know how I feel about that trade for the Cavaliers. Like I said again, and it will be just like the Thunder trade for the Spurs side of the ball. They have a defensive center this time where they could just play Victor at the 4 full time. But I don't know. I think I like Victor at the 5 more than the 4. So like this Spurs trade, it's just to give you guys an idea of what the Cleveland Cavaliers should do. They should look for a defensive wings who could shoot the ball and just give this team more size, man. Like with that little backcourt. That's what I would do if I was the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Put down in the comments what you think the Cleveland Cavaliers should do. Should they trade Garland? Should they trade Mobley, Jarrett Allen? Or should they go ahead and trade Donovan Mitchell? Because as long as the Cleveland Cavaliers aren't winning serious basketball games, Donovan Mitchell will always be in trade rumors because this wasn't his preferred destination when he got traded. And a small market team where he didn't ask to be there, and he wants to go to his hometown. I understand that Donovan Mitchell could be one of those guys in later seasons is available for trade talks, but as we currently speak right now, Donovan Mitchell's name should not be brought up in any trades. All you should be doing as the Cleveland Cavaliers is building the roster around him. You haven't gotten a chance to do that yet. This was the Cleveland Cavaliers' first free agency with Donovan Mitchell, and they prioritized the right thing with him. They prioritized getting spacing on the court. And if they're going to keep doing that, Jarrett Allen, he's next. Seen he's been in rumors, and thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate if you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to hear more from me, I'm on an NBA podcast called Up the Score Show. You could subscribe to us. We go live every week. We talk about the NBA, fun topics, and yeah. Thank you for listening. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. Enjoy y'all day.